Hi and welcome to the ArcVR Quickstart guide. This tutorial is intended to get you acquainted with the basic ArcVR features and common workload procedures, and for this project we'll be building a very simple VR experiment in which the subject or player stands in front of a table and draws colored spheres from an urn, and before drawing each sphere the player can make a guess or prediction as to which color they will draw. We'll be targeting the HTC Vive and its controllers for hardware, and we'll be using the Unity standard rendering pipeline. So without further ado, let's get started. We'll be creating a new Unity project using Unity Hub, and we'll be using Unity 2020.2.2, which is the version that ArcVR is made for. In case this tutorial is out of date, just check the GitHub repository or the ArcVR documentation to see which Unity version you should actually be using. As for the template, high definition rendering pipeline and the universal rendering pipeline are both perfectly compatible with ArcVR. We'll be just sticking to the standard. You can also use this VR pre-built template. What that will essentially do is it will additionally import the Unity XR toolkit into your project. We don't really need it. If that's what you need, then use this. Otherwise, just stick to the standard 3D. Let's name our project ArcVR Quickstart and create it. Right, so our project is done. Here we are inside the Unity editor. And in order to import ArcVR into the project, what you want to do is you want to go to the GitHub repository, and we'll go over to the release tabs, and here you will see a number of .tgz files that you can download. We'll take a look at some of these other packages in a moment, but to start off with, you're going to need the ArcVR core package, which is this com.avr core here, and all the other packages depend upon that. So just hit download, and once that's done, inside the Unity editor, you can head over to Window and Package Manager, and up in the top left you have this plus icon, and you can select Add Package from Tarball. Then you select the downloaded core package and wait for it to import. Might take a while. There we go. Once the package is done importing, this is what it should be looking like. We can now close the package manager, and you will see there is an AVR tab now in the top left. If we click on ArcVR, you will see that there is a sort of general welcome screen which will tell you which packages you have installed, and you have four buttons here. So the left one will, if you click it, it will open the documentation inside of your browser, and you can just like browse this Quickstart tutorial itself here in text form and other stuff. The second one will simply open the GitHub repository that we just downloaded from. The third one will be the settings of the package, and if you check inside of packages and ArcVR core and you open this in the Explorer, you will notice that there are these .avr files, such as core settings right here, and they look like this. So it's a sort of JSON style format, and all the settings that you see listed in this text file here are exactly the same as you see them in the editor over here. Now you can freely edit and change these, doesn't matter whether it's in the text or in the editor, and you can also freely access them through your C# scripts as sort of constants. So this is a fairly useful way to like make adjustable parameters, which are then adjustable through like an option screen that you can build or anything else. So finally, there is the ArcVR console, which is a sort of developer's console that's built in. You may have seen similar sort of console tools in other packages or even standalone consoles. And it sort of generally allows you to like easily set commands. You can declare certain functions as commands. Many outputs will appear here, so it's useful to keep it docked somewhere handy. And if we run the packages command, for instance, you will see which packages are currently installed on this instance. We will be taking a better look at this very shortly. ArcVR just works out of the box like this, and if you head on over to Edit and Project Settings, let's dock this over here. You'll see the XR plugin management has been automatically installed from Unity, and you can now select any of these pre-built plugins for any headset that you might want to use. Now you may notice that there is no HTC Vive or Valve Index in here. That's because the Steam VR headsets do not come with a pre-built plugin, so we'll have to find some other way. The easiest way to do that is to just use the OpenXR plugin, which is compatible with pretty much any headset you can think of, including the Valve Index and HTC Vive. So in order to get that imported in here, simply head on over to Package Manager and Unity Registry, and in here you should be seeing OpenXR plugin. You don't need to do this step if you are not using SteamVR. And there are also other solutions. So on GitHub of on OpenVR and SteamVR, you can find like Valve-made plugins for the Vive, but generally OpenXR is a very convenient solution because it just enables seamless integration with like almost any headset on the market. So I'll just be hitting install. Once that's done, the OpenXR will prompt you to restart your project, so we'll be doing that. And now we're back. And you may notice that we now under XR plugin management have an OpenXR option, and we'll just activate that. Now you'll notice there's this red exclamation mark here, which will tell you some settings are not compatible with OpenXR. If you click that, there's this convenient fix all button here. These settings are generally not impactful to most projects, but in particular, linear color space may make your project look slightly different. If you're building the project from scratch, this should hardly make any difference. There we go. And to get rid of this final warning, we need to select our profile. For that, we will be going into OpenXR and then Features. And as you can see here, we have a number of profiles that we can choose from. As we are targeting the HTC Vive, we'll be using the HTC Vive controller profile. If you're using the Valve Index, you can select that, and you can also select multiple at once. Okay, great. So now we've got a HTC Vive compatible, fully functional project, and we could start just building away at our experiment immediately, but let's first take a quick look at the developer's console first. So as I said before, you can like declare certain like static functions that are anywhere in your C# script as consoles and then run them through here. The great thing about this is that the console is available both within the editor as well as during runtime, so you can just like run it whenever you want. And if you type in commands, you will get a full list of all the commands that are available. There aren't that many, but other packages will add more, and you can obviously add your own. And if you type in help together with a command, it will give you a sort of basic description of what it does. If we create, for instance, a plane, let's put it at the origin, then say you've the great thing about this console is that it is available both inside this editor and in exactly the same form. It is also available inside of a build project or when I hit the play button. So say you've already built a project, but you want to do some last second changes when you're deploying your experiment, then or just like on the fly experimentation or changes, then you can, for instance, use toggle and then type the name of the object, and then it will just toggle it off. So I'm doing this in the editor now, which I may as well just hit this this check mark, but the great thing about this is that we could also do this, the exact same thing at runtime. So that's enough of the developer's console for now. Now, in order to get started with building our experiment, let's just like place down some basic geometry and some shapes so that we have at least something to look at through our VR headset. There we go. I've just made like a really basic scene so that we can orient ourselves in virtual space and just make sure that everything works. I've parented everything under a scenery object, so if I were to just say toggle scenery, then I would just disable all of the scene objects. Let's actually introduce a sort of basic player rig in VR. And this step is quite simple. We simply click on the AVR option in the top menu bar and click on Create Player Rig. And it will put inside of the scene that's currently open a player rig. Now, the player rig in its most basic form consists of just a camera that is tracked and so spatially tracked, and this is tagged as the main camera, so the camera that is being rendered to. And since you only ought to have one main camera in the scene, we just should delete the main camera that already came with it. There we go. If I now hit play, you will be able to see that the scene actually works and that I can view and see it through my VR headset. Right, so as you can see, I can like look around and move around in room space within this virtual environment. And next up, we want to also track both of our VR controllers. Doing this is also a simple step. We simply hit the player rig button inside of our hierarchy. And in the inspector, you will see there's a AVR player rig object, and it has a button that's labeled Add Module. If we hit Add Module, we can select which modules we want attached to this player rig. And we want both the left and the right controller. Hit Update, and you will see that the player rig now has two additional child objects, the left hand and the right hand controller. So this sort of workflow procedure is very common in ArcVR. There's some kind of dialog window with a series of toggleable options that you can select and then hit update. All of these sort of wizards or dialog windows, you can also insert your own modules in there. So now we have two controllers that are being tracked, but we also want them to be visible because currently this is just an empty transform and we want to actually see our own controllers. So if we just hit both of these controllers individually and click on Add Module, we can add a controller visual module to it. And in terms of what visual we want, well, we could just create a basic sphere or a cube or just use a 3D model of the Vive controller, and we'll be just doing that. Do the same thing for the right hand controller. And as you can see now, each of the controllers have an additional child object, which is the 3D model of the controller, which you can see right here. It's sort of shoved into the ground, but you can just like put any of these controllers anywhere because they are spatially tracked anyway. So if I now hit play again, you'll be able to see that both of the controllers are being tracked and they are both visible within VR. There you go. As you can see, I can freely move my controllers around and just it will match the position of the controller in real space.